Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Take a deep breath, get real high, and I scream at the top of my lungs. One more time, a little louder. Wake up in the morning. I take a deep breath, scream at the top of my lungs. All right, everybody, to the right. Hey, hey, hey. Left, hey, hey, hey. Tap your arms. Other side. All right, now stomp. Hey, 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 hey. All right, now just bounce a little bit. We got this, we got this. All right, now put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath in.
Proving that overnight success takes many, many years. It's the Audience of One show on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5 FM, streaming on irlonestar.com and available wherever you get your podcasts from. I am Andrew, riding shotgun alongside the guy who has perfected cooking bagel bites. It's Dick, the Big Nude Cruise Schisler.
Are we really not going to talk about?
What's up?
Are we really not going to talk about that?
What's up?
The commencement speech.
That is the one from last week, the Chris Pan commencement speech. That's just a snippet of, isn't it? The most wonderful thing you've ever heard.
I listened to a little bit of it, but I never watched it.
Yeah.
And I encourage everyone to watch it because even during that song, the professors or whoever behind them are participating too.
Correct.
And it's just, they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. It doesn't disappoint, does it?
No.
Yeah. Describing it last week, I probably didn't do it any justice, man. That is, like I said, the title was The Worst Commencement Speech. Oh, no. Au contraire. That thing was amazing.
Well, it got me thinking, that's like an institution thing to do commencement speeches and then do graduation because, that was just the norm. But I had this thought this weekend because our neighbor, I guess someone was graduating because they had a party.
Yep.
And it was all day. And it was just like, I'm sitting there going, I guess the party is more important than the actual graduation because this thing was, I'm talking, they started playing music and having people drive up and down the street.
It's just an excuse to party.
And it went from maybe 10 a.m. to about 6 p.m.
Nice.
And I was sitting there going like, all right, okay, cool. I'd rather go to that than go to graduation.
Yeah, oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, like we said, graduations are a beating of the highest order.
Yeah.
Well, you survived yet another round of crazy storms. Did you see the storms that rolled through downtown Houston? Did you see any footage and the damage?
Oh, yeah, it was nuts.
It was crazy, right? Well, as it turns out, it was a storm they're calling a derecho storm. Have you heard this term before?
No.
Derecho? Yeah, which is a Spanish word meaning straight. Which I guess they could have called it a hetero storm, but that doesn't sound nearly as threatening, does it?
Although gender specific.
Well, hetero storm, that also sounds like an adult movie, I suppose. But yeah, a derecho storm. And basically what they are is they're like on land, onshore hurricanes. They just kind of form over land, and apparently that's what rolled through downtown.
Yeah, I got a picture of my
nasty.
sister's place, and it was the street was literally littered in tree limbs. The whole, all the way down. Probably 40 houses.
Gosh. And unfortunately, some people lost their lives too, man. I think the count is at 5 at least right now. Kind of sad. And a lot of it is things that were falling over on people in their cars. I heard there were trees and towers and things like this that fell over on people while they were driving. I always feel like I'm safe in my car. Yeah, 2 of them, 2 instances, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you always feel like you're fairly
That's the way to go
safe.
out right there.
Yeah, you always feel like you're fairly safe inside of a car.
Do you think if the Tesla trucks would have survived that?
Of course it would have, man. Of course. Survives anything.
Yeah.
The derecho storm and the hetero storm too.
Yeah, that's so funny. But no, it was pretty serious. I grew up in Houston. And when I saw pictures of it, it's so weird to me because I didn't expect that to be that severe. I mean, it was pretty bad up here, but it wasn't.
We got spared in the woodlands. It was pretty nice. It kind of went to the south of us and then to the north of us.
Yeah.
I mean, we got rain and some gusts and whatever, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad.
Then you see the power line things.
Yeah.
Like, that's surreal.
I've not seen transmission lines like that actually twisted and gnarled up and, falling over. Over 1 million people out of power? I mean, that's going to happen when transmission lines go down. Yikes.
Yikes.
Fear the derecho. Fear the
Yikes.
derecho. Well, I have some observations from my past week. And can you cue the Andrew's Observations song, please, so I can... That's right.
No shower liner in the hotel room, parking lot etiquette, what not to do. People on their phones talking way too loud. I'm sure they can hear you and we do too. It's Andrew's Observations, my favorite time of the week. Tell us
Favorite time of the week?
It's awesome. All right, so let's now welcome in Andrew's Observations. Thank you for my proper intro there. Yes.
You know what that reminds me of?
What's up?
You ever seen the Walk Hard Dewey Cox story?
No.
You really need to see it.
Walk Hard?
Yeah, it's called Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. It's a parody film.
Oh, yeah, it would have to be.
Is it John C. Reilly?
Okay.
But basically, it's making fun of all those music biopic movies. And he...
Oh, so it's recent.
Oh, yeah. You really...
Okay, yeah.
It's so ridiculous. But there was a
Oh,
point...
I would probably love this.
There's a point where he, like, transitions different types, like, during the decades.
So to speak. Mm-hmm.
So, like, he started being, like, Johnny Cash. That's when he first started. And then eventually he's, like, the Beatles. But then they
but it's all in the same movie.
But it's all in the same movie.
Fantastic.
But no, then he's like a Bob Dylan, and
Fantastic.
people are like, "Hey, don't you like?" There's a great little snippet montage where it's like, "Hey, don't you think you're literally copying Bob Dylan?" And he's like, "Oh, music's music, man." And then they show him playing, and he's just saying the most random things.
Well, that
But
sounds
it
about right.
sounds like Mr.
Yeah,
Tambourine
that's-
Man. And it's just
that's greatness.
Oh, it is. That's a great little scene because a lot of
Yes,
times
you'll have to send me the link to that after the show.
Yeah.
I'm curious on that one. But no, I have some
It's
observations.
AI.
I was out doing some shopping at just like one of these local strip centers around here, and I saw something that I wanted to ask you about. Have you seen? It seems like it's mostly women, although I'm sure a guy has worn one. I've never seen one. The T-shirts that say "In my fill in the blank era."
No, I've never seen that.
Okay, and I think it's a take on like the Taylor Swift Eras tour.
I've seen people wear "I'm the favorite uncle" shirt.
Yeah, well, I did that on purpose because I knew this segment was coming up. I'm wearing my "I'm the favorite uncle" shirt. More on that in a minute. But no, you see them around and they say things like, "I'm in my dance mom era," or "I'm in my soccer mom era." It's just a new way of saying soccer mom or dance mom, and it's a takeoff on the Taylor Swift stuff. No big
Is
deal.
it?
Yeah. Like I said, it's the Eras tour. I think that's
okay.
again no big deal. I see them all over the place. Well, I saw one this weekend that gave me a little pause.
Okay.
It was a little girl, and she was wearing a shirt that said "In my little sister era." And I didn't think much of it at the time, but then later as I'm driving home, I thought, that doesn't make sense. Because that's practically your entire life, if you think about it. It's not really an era. I mean, like an era.
Never count it off.
Right? Yeah, barring some sort of major tragedy, right? The era is pretty much going to be her entire life. So I think we're stretching this beyond what the intent originally was.
I
But
recently saw You Got Mail.
the old movie
Tom Hanks and
Hanks.
Meg Ryan, and in the movie, he
You've got a lot of downtime, man.
well, no,
movie.
it's I'm trying to remember who directed it, but basically, I was watching it, and then in the scenario he was in, he had two younger siblings, but what it turned out is one, like the younger kid, who's probably 12 or younger, is his brother, and then the older sister isn't a sister, is his aunt, and she's probably 13.
She's in her auntie era.
And well, no, it was like because I go, that can't be real, and then they explained it in the movie, like this is how she's like legit his aunt
Oh,
and
well, there
legit
you go.
his brother, and they're little kids, and he's taking them out on the town, going to the carnivals and stuff like that. But then I go, that means somebody knew somebody in real life, because the dad is a breeder, and he like goes,
yeah, he is.
well, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
Because I mean, for a little kid to be your aunt, what would that require?
Well, that would require some massive age differences in your siblings, right? Or not your siblings, but in your siblings.
Because I think that was the running joke in the movie, was not just the dad, but the grandfather was also like still impregnating people.
Sure, yeah, that's...
So basically, the grandfather had a kid.
I mean, I grew up with a guy who was an uncle before he was born, right? Because his sister was like 20-something years old, had a child before he was even born.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm the fun uncle. The fun uncle. I'm in my fun uncle, or favorite uncle, sorry, era. I got this at a, I guess it wasn't necessarily a party, so to speak, but this was given to us as a reveal that my brother-in-law they were expecting.
Okay.
So it was
So
like,
your
you got the
sister.
shirt, and you're like,
So your sister.
sister-in-law. You're like, oh, wow.
Your sister-in-law or your brother-in-law?
Brother-in-law, and I guess by marriage, that makes her my sister-in-law too, right? I think that's how it works.
Okay. It's your.
I think that's how it works.
I see what you're talking about.
Another observation, I saw this little girl was throwing a coin of some sort into a wishing well. And I walked by there and, looked down at this well, and it's just littered with coins. And I think we need to put one of these outside the studio for donations. Yeah. I don't understand what the draw is for people to just immediately, they see a well and they got to go throw something in it.
Well, no one cares about change anymore. We've already talked several times about people's behavior with change.
That's true. I don't even want it. You ever done this? Gone up to the wishing well and made a wish, Dick? Did your wish ever come true? He shook his head for those of you on the podcast. It did.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I actually went home and did a little research on it because
aren't
that's what you wished for?
Yeah, I want to be beautiful.
Make me pretty. I wondered where this came from, because typically traditions and things that we do in society are because they're successful. We do them because they work. I'm here to tell you that stuff doesn't work. Wishing and a wishing well, just like blowing out candles, but yet we've been doing it forever, right? So apparently it started with the Celts and the Germans. They were the first ones to use this belief system, and their explanation was kind of simple. They thought that the water inside the wells was accommodating gods, and it had been put there by the deities themselves as a present, and throwing coins in there was therefore a way of giving thanks to the gods. Now that kind of makes sense. That actually makes more sense.
At least it wasn't a baby.
Well, yeah, it makes more sense than making a wish. That your parents are going to get you a new set of Jordans or pair of Jordans. You're giving thanks to the gods. Nowadays, what do we do with clean water? It's not from the gods. We put our human excrement in it. My, how times have changed, right? Jeez. Anywho, those are Andrew's observations. Thank you to AI for writing that song for me. Are we ready to kick this show off, Richard?
How many songs are we going to do?
I don't know. We're going to set a record. Maybe we'll play one at the...
Hey.
You're right. This is like our fourth song already.
I know.
I love it. I love it.
I'm a little worried about you. You're telling me I have a lot of downtime. You're over here making AI.
It doesn't take that long. Although I did write those lyrics, in case you can't tell. A lot of references to past experiences.
I know. You're a lot of downtime.
No, it doesn't take that long. Omran bin Omran, that's quite a name, went missing in 1998. And after 26 years, he was found alive on a neighbor's property. Basically, this dude went missing at 19 years old. He was kidnapped, and as it turns out, he was about 600 feet away from his own house.
I feel like that's not a rare thing. I feel like that happens a lot with kidnappers.
So this is kind of weird. At first, when I saw this, man, I thought, this is not kidnapping. This guy knew what he was up to and just wanted to not be at the house anymore, right? So, because 600 feet, really not that far. Dad could fire up the grill, and you'd be like, I think he's cooking shish kebabs, Or you run into your sister at Costco or something. That's really not that far away. But then as I read onto the story, it was like he was in a basement, and he was mistreated for 26 years. But how weird is that, to be the family and to find out this dude is alive? They thought that he had gone missing and then eventually had died in some sort of civil war. I'm like, wait a minute. So they kidnapped him and then put him into war? I don't know how that works. But yeah, isn't that nuts, man? Wasn't it Elizabeth Smart that was kidnapped, and she was like 18 miles away, 20 miles away or something?
I feel like that's happened more than just this.
But this is literally next door.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the guy actually knew that he was next door. I would think so, right? Because once you're kidnapped, you know, hey, wait a minute, this only took 30 seconds to put me in my final spot.
I think in this world, especially with social media, you can kind of discover that there's some special people out there.
Well, this was in Algeria.
Yeah. Even worse.
Well, the reason it was discovered, this is funny, so some of the siblings or parents passed away, and apparently there's some inheritance money. So I think the guy who...
The neighbor,
and he was like, oh, there could be some cash in here. And I think basically said, no, I think this guy's still alive. Well, there you go. Again, overplaying your hand. We talk about this every single week. When you got a good thing going, when you've got a nice captive in your basement.
Yeah, well, like, see, that reminds me, someone at the bowling alley handed me, like, a $10, and he's like, oh, it's counterfeit. And I go, okay. Like, people make that joke all the time, you know? Because it's like a fresh, clean tin.
It doesn't feel real.
And he's like, but, I'm an idiot. I should have just done hundreds. And I go, actually, I feel like if you're a counterfeiter, it'd be smart to do tens.
But I think the payoff there is it takes a lot more of them to score a huge haul. And hundreds you can add up, faster. I think that's the reason why
I feel like
they do
hundreds are tracked. It's like no one tracks a 10.
Yeah, I guess if you're small time, you just play the numbers, huh? And just do it more frequently.
Yeah, because no one's going to like, oh, this is definitely a fake, unless they're terrible at your counterfeiting job.
I've always wondered that, though. If you're the person who receives a counterfeit bill and unknowingly, and then you go spend it, and someone's like, oh, they bust it, they hold it up to the light, can you get in trouble?
Well, I imagine the FBI or whoever, what is it? Is it Homeland that takes care of that? I know there's a counterfeiting actual ring, like special division. But like, think about the 10s. Like, say you did 20s. No one's going to check a 20.
Or 25s. Right? No one tracks $25
or $2 bills. That'd be
well, that's a real.
I know, but that would be the greatest thing because
you have to walk around with a wheelbarrow to purchase anything, though.
Well, no, it got me thinking about
right?
it. Though. Well, it got me
Thanks
thinking.
A lot, Biden.
It got me thinking about it though, because like when you're making counterfeit money, most people who are making counterfeit money are using that to buy big purchases.
Right. That's why they do the $100.
So the hundreds. So it's like, but
that's
then,
my point.
But imagine, I know there's got to be a crook out there that's doing 10s and 20s, and it's like he's eating,
small time in it.
He's eating out every day.
Right.
He's going to the fancy Perry steak restaurants or like the $1,000 tabs, and he's like, here you go.
Yeah, very sneaky.
Yeah.
Well, Omar bin Omran has been found safe. So, yay. Did you see?
What would you do if you had, your cat? Because what we're talking about a couple episodes ago about cash is not king anymore in a sense.
Yeah.
So it's like now you're stuck with this counterfeit you've been working on perfecting, and you're stuck with $10 bills, and the only thing you can buy is McDonald's now. Like you can't like.
Dang it! This plan's terrible.
Well, like I guess you go to Best Buy and buy, what is above $1,000?
Yeah.
Below $1,000?
At what point? What's the threshold in which buying something in cash and small bills raises eyebrows, where the retailer's going to say, this doesn't seem right. So you go to Best Buy and you buy a $1,500 laptop.
Yeah.
And you pay in all crisp $2 bills. You think they're going to be a little suspicious?
Or all 20s.
Okay.
Even 20s would be kind of suspicious.
I think any of it would be suspicious. Anytime someone hands me cash for that amount.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like,
again.
All right, so what I guess you're just living life of luxury of the guilty pleasures.
Speaking of cash.
Because you can buy beer, liquor.
Yeah, you can.
Well, you buy like Johnny Walker Black or whatever.
Do you put all of your bills in like denomination order in your wallet from highest to lowest to lowest? You do that? Yeah, and you make sure. And when you get change back, do you take the time to put the ones in front and then kind of go through and look and make the... Wow. I was always told that's what I was to do as a child. That's how you put your money, son. That's respect for the cash or whatever.
Well, that's why
I try to do that now.
That's why I have a wallet that has a divider in it.
That's why my fives are all the way at the back.
So
the big bills.
I had the big bills and the small bills.
I didn't see anything in there, by the way.
Well, that's because I used all my cash today, actually.
Sad story. Sad but true story. Did you see the King Charles portrait was unveiled last week? Kind of crazy. I got a picture. Maybe you want to show the onesies. I have to admit, it's kind of weird. And if you see the footage of him unveiling it, he has a big cover and he pulls it down. He recoils. I don't know if out of fear when he saw it for the first time or if he thought the tarp was going to hit him, but he claims that he likes it.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
It's pretty cool, actually. I feel like he's the devil coming to get my soul.
The fingers aren't nearly sausagey enough for me to be realistic, but other than that, pretty spot on. But yeah, all the red, and it's mostly all red. And I have seen like mashups where they either fold the photo in two or they put them side by side, and it makes a devil face. You seen that? It's pretty legit. What's he trying to tell us?
How many children do you have in your basement?
Do you think he got used to being used to the fact that he was never going to be king because he was Prince for so long? And he just figured.
I bet he figured it was going to happen at one point, right? That
You
lady
think?
was pretty old.
Yeah, she was. But do you think he got used to it because he was Prince for however many years? I don't know, 50, 60 years.
I don't know.
I wonder. And now he's like, oh man, I got to do stuff. Oh jeez, I like being Prince.
Well, I think he's used to it, especially after Princess Diana passed away.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. I think the whole situation was crazy, so he's probably used to being in the spotlight. But no one wants to see him. That's what's so
Nobody wants to
funny
see
to
him.
me. It's like,
Should have had the courtesy and put gloves on him in that picture.
well, because like that Crown show was so popular because it kind of showed you the inner workings.
The
of,
Crown, the show called
is
The
it,
Crown.
Is it called The Crown?
Oh, Bridgerton.
Whatever.
I don't know.
But it
was
showed
probably
you the inner workings of the
entirely two
royal
different shows.
family, of like
Right.
their expectations
That's
or
not
whatever they
Bridgerton, I don't
do. And then like now you see like Prince William is just kind of like hanging out with Wrexham people. And it's like he's just, and then what was that one that like left the royal family and married the.
Yeah, not Harry, but or no, it was Harry.
So
Yeah.
like I was thinking to myself when I saw that, I go, well, he's just a celebrity now. So what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Like the royal family are
Leave
just,
him alone.
they're just celebrities.
That's essentially all they are.
So when are they gonna start selling like TRT and
Excuse me, TRT.
isn't that like a testosterone thing?
Oh, I don't know.
Like they're gonna start doing their own sports
Oh, yeah,
drinks
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever, and like The Rock has.
And here's Harry for hymns.
No, you know what's random? So I was looking on Facebook, and
Is your Taja not acting the way it should?
the Italian restaurant on the street has an energy drink.
Surge.
No,
yeah.
it's called the Bomber.
They making their own?
They're making their
Oh,
own.
bro, they are going after it because that's dangerous, right? I mean, we know
Yeah,
the dangers of having too much caffeine
but
in
it's
your
like,
drink.
does everybody have a
Nah,
an energy drink now?
I mean, maybe.
But I think they're doing it for a fundraiser to do something for the army or something. I don't know. Because
fundraiser
Joe,
again.
Joe over there is always helping out.
Sure.
So, how
Gotta be
many
careful.
you know how many times I got over there to get a free meal, and even though it was like part of something else,
Know how many times?
I would say at least 3 times because this food's good, man.
As much as you want to admit on air. Well, I've got a related story here that I think this is a man after your own heart, staying on this theme of paintings. This is hilarious. A man gets a realistic picture of his boat painted on a fence intended to hide it. So the story goes, the HOA had a rule about this guy
That's pretty,
not being able to...
That's pretty awesome.
It is
dude.
amazing, and I'm going to show the picture there.
I'm trying to.
The HOA basically was complaining because he parked a rather large boat. It looks like it's probably a 30-foot, 25, 30-foot boat in his driveway. They said, no, you can't do this. So he said, all right, well, I'll put up a fence to cover it. But then immediately commissioned a painter to paint a very realistic version of his boat on that fence. So it still looks as though
Well, I'm showing the
boat is
folks
there.
on YouTube, Facebook right
It is
now.
awesome.
I think it looks awesome.
it is amazing. I told
See,
you
this is something I would do.
This was a man after your own heart. And what's funny about it is the painting stops at the top of the fence, but his boat continues.
love it.
And it matches up exactly where the boat and the painting, I guess, align. It's a perfect alignment. Yeah, California man was ordered to keep his boat out of sight, has had the last laugh by commissioning an artist to paint realistic, like I said. Local government officials, blah, 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 blah. It was a 6-foot fence to hide the boat, but it looks like the boat probably goes up to about 12 feet when you have that canopy over the top of it. I absolutely like it. You ever had a run-in with the HOA? I mean, I know some of these are really, really
No, not really.
egregious, so to speak.
I never really. I mean, it's one of those funny things where
I don't think I have either.
I never gotten a letter.
I think I've got a letter for something, and it was probably like weeds one time in my yard, and I was very offended at that notion. As a guy who keeps his yard pretty neat and tidy, I was a little
Well,
I was a
you
little
know,
pissed.
certain neighborhoods literally have a person who gets paid.
Oh yeah,
to
absolutely,
go
or
around.
a series of people, yeah.
Yeah, and
Either they're paid
to
or
me,
they're
that's
volunteer.
hilarious.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like the HOA world is when people are complaining about HOAs. I'm like, there's probably
Well, this is a way of complaining, and as he says, I'm not a rule breaker, but I like to make a political statement as well as necessary and make it as humorous and creative as possible.
See, that's me.
That is
And-
definitely you.
but,
This is
like,
amazing.
But what I'm saying, when people complain about HOAs, I always want to remind them, like, hey, there's bigger problems in the world.
Yeah, some of them are nitpicky. I mean, I understand the idea of having them, but boy, they can get really nitpicky.
Yeah.
Small things, man. Well, did you hear? This was a story that broke, I think, literally the day we recorded last week, and this is sort of the problem with doing a weekly show. I was like, oh, man, we would have definitely talked about this. But the technology portal between Dublin, Ireland, and New York that was unveiled a couple of weeks ago.
Great.
This is insane. So if you don't know what we're talking about.
I would have kept it.
Well, yeah. Well, there's a reason why, right?
Yeah,
so if you don't know what we're
fun.
talking about, and when we say technology portal, it's basically a huge webcam and a screen.
You're FaceTiming 24/7.
Correct. That runs 24/7 between the cities of New York and Dublin, Ireland. And the concept here was to be able to have people to say hello to someone else on the other side of the world.
They didn't have audio, though.
No audio, just visual. And apparently there's these all over the world. This company has done this in several places, but this is the first time it's been done in the United States. And I think this is just proof that we as human beings
It's so terrible. It's awesome.
cannot have nice things. Because immediately in today's age, when a webcam comes out, what is the first thing we do?
Show your
That's exactly right. You
someone really
immediately
do
pull
that?
out body parts. Of course.
Oh, that's
of course.
awesome.
I think they
The one I saw was really.
we're gonna get to that
okay.
here in a second too. But I think Dublin, if you will, probably started this because they were showing pictures of 9/11 and the buildings getting hit by planes right there in downtown New York, and of course pissing off the people.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I guess in the way that only Americans can do, we decided to get even by showing the good old-fashioned American breasts. And this one Instagram model, I think she might be an OnlyFans model as well, decided to pull up her shirt and show the world her homegrown potatoes, as she said. A good old American homegrown potatoes. And, of course, immediately they had to shut down the entire project. They said temporarily, but I think it's been shuttered in for more than a week now. Pretty funny, man. This is... people just have no decorum anymore. But who thought that this was going to be a good idea? And that this wasn't going to happen? I mean, it happened almost instantly. Look, a camera, I'm going to show my up-tops.
Well, I mean, that to me was like, what? When you're designing this thing, you have to kind of accept anything that happens is going to happen.
Including people flashing ups and
Not even that.
up tops and
like
bottoms.
the Twin Tower thing.
Yeah.
Like that was so like I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's so bizarre because they pull it up on their phones.
Yeah,
and it's
there's-
like multiple people
Yeah,
doing
hey,
it.
look. Yeah, it's pretty tacky.
And there's
it's pretty
no
tacky.
audio, so you don't really know what they're saying. Like they
Just look at this horrible tragedy we feel for you. Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I saw that, I kind of like it's as terrible as it was, but it's like this is kind of funny, guys. This is kind of
It is kind of funny. Well, the lady's name
Well, I mean, she walked up to the thing and flashed. It
flat
wasn't
and
like-
just held it there too.
It wasn't like she walked by, but whoop, whoop,
Yeah.
and then kept walking. It's like no, she went up there and just did it.
Her name is Ava Louise, and she is an OnlyFans model. But what's funny about this is she made fame probably 4 years ago during COVID when she did a TikTok where she went around licking toilet seats. Do you remember this?
No.
I remember this being a thing. And basically she was saying, I'm going to catch COVID because I'd rather die than... I'd rather die hot than live ugly. Which I don't even know why that doesn't make sense to me. Defended her video of licking a toilet seat during the COVID outbreak. She was on Dr. Phil twice, and where she apparently touted that I'd rather die hot than live ugly. So yeah, she's at it again.
See, that's a
This is
T-shirt.
the same girl, right?
That's a T-shirt that if someone was wearing it,
Yeah.
that's what someone would wear if they're at Walmart.
Yeah, I guess.
And I'm like,
I guess so.
you go, sister.
Same girl. But I mean, I guess in her defense, pretty good way to get publicity because now she's out there. I'd never heard of this girl. I mean, I did back in the COVID story, but I didn't remember her name. Well, I remember it now. Of course, immediately everyone's going, ooh, do people have footage from the other side? Because all the footage we see is from her back.
Yeah.
And I see people going, oh, where's the footage from the other side, from Ireland? Because you could see people have their cameras up on the webcam in Ireland. Someone has that footage. Of course, she's on OnlyFans, so it's not like it'd be hard to find her up tops anywhere.
Well,
Dick, I imagine.
But yeah, they closed it down, and then what
have.
I love is there was a statement from the guy that I remember reading that's like, "Oh, we're gonna troubleshoot these potential like workarounds." And I'm like, "Troubleshoot what work? Like, you can't just start censoring,
Right.
Like it's an open webcam. Would you like? That's what blows my mind is they never thought, oh, only like there might be a bad thing.
Yeah. Like this never came to their mind that people might think, huh, Let's whip it out right here on camera. Man.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah. All right, last story before the break. This is pretty funny, man. A, quote, anxious gambler says Atlantic City Bally's won't pay out a $2.5 million slot machine win, claiming what's the use in even playing. So this is pretty interesting. A New Jersey woman said she won more than $2 million on an Atlantic City slot machine, but the casino isn't coughing up the cash, leaving her very anxious, it says, about being unable to help her homeless son. So this is pretty funny. So apparently, picture the scene. Your son's homeless. He's living under 45 out by Minute Maid Park, and you come up to him and say, and you said, son, I got you. Don't worry. I'm going to get you out of this problematic situation you have found yourself in. I'm going to Atlantic City. Don't worry. Well, apparently, she ended up winning $2.5 million, but they came back and said, no, it was mechanical error. Sorry. And they basically kicked her out. I do think she has a claim, and I mean, there's cameras all over that. I'm sure she can go back and say, watch the film, look at the film, but how crappy is I've always wondered about that, if something were to happen and you're like, oh, this paid out. And they're like, no, you're looking at that wrong. It's actually not what you think it is. Because those games have like 16 reels on them now, and it's hard to see what wins and what doesn't win.
But also, I'm kind of curious because I don't know the scenario at all. I'm curious to see if when she won the 2.5, was there a crowd?
There was.
So everyone kind of saw, the machine said 2.5.
Absolutely. So it says apparently, hold on, let me scroll up here because it is kind of interesting. She does detail exactly how it happened. She said, after spinning, the wheel ended up on the word jackpot with a $sign, and she heard the words, you've won. Then 3D coins came out with a blue wave of light. And she said, people behind me got up and they said, oh my God, this lady, you're a millionaire. But when she used the call button to summon for help, a tilt message popped up indicating that the machine was unable to pay due to an error or malfunction.
Okay, so she knew immediately something happened.
Oh, yeah. Yes, and the other people, too, apparently saw it. So that's why I think she does have some kind of claim. Yeah. Meanwhile, her son's standing out there at the soup line still waiting.
Yeah. He probably doesn't even exist.
Yeah. Just thought that was an interesting
I'm
side
curious,
note.
I'm curious to make a note to follow up on that because to me it's kind of like if it immediately told you, oh, hey, there was a problem. But then again, casinos are shady as hell. So it's
no, they're good Christian-run operations. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not, yeah. But
all right, man, it's probably a pretty good time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what really goes on at the Olympic Village.
Hey, listener, we really appreciate you checking out today's episode. Just want to remind you guys, we are on all sorts of cool things you can subscribe to. We got YouTube, we got podcasts on Spotify and Apple. We also have our Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Audience of One Show with Andrew and Dick. We'd really like you guys to like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. That way we can keep on making content and seeing if people are actually listening. Because a lot of times we are talking to ourselves with an audience of one.
Yeah, is that internet? Is that stuff you were referring to? Is that on the internet?
It's the www.
Okay. I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it's a cool place. We want you guys to like, subscribe, and send us messages. We always love reading messages on Facebook. We got our Gmail. It's audienceofoneshow at gmail.com. And then I think that's the only way I really pay attention. So don't find me on LinkedIn or something. I don't.
Yeah, you're not on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so we're not on LinkedIn. We are not on LinkedIn, guys.
No.
Welcome back to the Audience One Show here on Lone Star Community Radio, irlonestar.com, worldwide. Check us out, irlonestar.com/AOO for all of our past episodes. We're here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Live. Podcast is released YouTube, Facebook, Lone Star Community Radio.
That's a lot of places.
That's a lot of places.
That's just a lot of places.
We everywhere.
Gosh.
We everywhere.
Worldwide, baby.
Oh, I wanted to tell you, I saw a movie that I think was written by AI.
Oh, man.
Or the editor got fired like 20 times, but they go, hey, you still don't have time, so you need to like continue what the last person was editing. It was Madam Web.
Oh, yeah. I've heard you talk about this before.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I heard it's a really terrible
movie. And I got to watch it again.
Like you can tell it's AI, right?
Because I saw it in theaters and then now I can actually like sit there on my screen and pay attention. And it's so funny to me how people can make movies like that and then spend the budget of advertising to say like, go see this movie.
Because it's that bad.
Because it's one thing to be like, oh, we made a movie, it turned out to be bad, just release it. But to spend all that marketing money, and it's like, do you really want people to know that it's bad? Like,
I mean, at a certain point, you know it as a director or a producer, and you're just gonna have to go with it.
Well, I know, but so there's one thing to like make a movie, spend money, and like, oh, okay, this movie's pretty terrible. Just release it, and just don't spend money telling people about it. But they spend a lot of money marketing it.
Yeah, it's like a legit film.
As a legit film, and it's just like there's some lines in it that are.
Is it distinct to where you can tell where the actual human being writing ended and the AI writing started, or is it just so bad all the way from the start that it kind of is seamless in that respect?
See, like the only thing I could come up with is either, like I said, like the way I saw it was as if they hired this editor or director or somebody, and then they started making it, and then they fired that person, and then the next person came on board, but they told them like, hey, you got to keep what's already in there. Mm-hmm. And so, but they hired everybody that has no idea what Madam Web is, because there's so many lines that were contradicting each other.
Yeah,
and you're going like, did they not remember like
who stars in that?
Dakota Johnson, I think, is like.
Oh, that's the 50 Shades chick,
yeah,
right?
I think she's probably the lead, and then there's Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney. Okay,
'Cause
interesting that these are known commodities in Hollywood that they're probably not too happy that this movie turned out the way it did, and that their name is attached to it. If I had to guess.
Well, what's funny is what it made me think is they were trying to make it, or piggybacking off Spider-Man, and it's one of those movies that isn't directly connected to Spider-Man because Sony made it, so it's not like a Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the Venom movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like an offshoot,
right?
But did they try? You could tell they tried to write it because it takes place in like 2007, and they try to make all these references. To like they talked about Martha Stewart.
Not enough time has passed for you to have a movie take place in 2007 and have it feel nostalgic.
Well, again, it's like they asked the AI program. It's like, hey, we want to make a movie, but we want to make it work in the.
I have this new iPhone.
No,
right?
no, really. Like they talked about Martha Stewart. There was a reference to Beyonce. There was a Britney Spears "Toxic" scene.
Oh, yeah, I think that song was probably That's
and
the year it
then,
was probably released.
but yeah, it was like
they need to leave Britney alone.
But
though.
that's what it felt like, an AI thing, because they like put in the prompts like, hey, we want to make this movie fit this timeline because we want to use it for another movie.
So AI just grabbed whatever topical like culture pop. Oh my God, I can't talk. Pop culture reference that was hot in 2007 and threw it in there.
Yes.
Oh boy.
And because I feel like these people who make Marvel movies don't know what Marvel is, but they know it makes money. So it's like, how are we going to milk this as much as possible?
Right.
And that's what this movie felt like to me. Because you know that Dakota Johnson lady was like, hey, if I sign on to a Marvel movie.
Right. She's thinking, oh, I got a series. There's definitely going to be 3 of them. Yeah. Yep. I'm going to be cashing checks for the next decade.
Well, like, okay, so you don't know who Madam Web is, but in the comic, basically what she is she's this blind old lady that can, her power is to see the future. And she can connect the webs. She can see the connections. Because she's in the Spider-Man comics.
My elementary school library. So her name was Mrs. Webb, by the way.
And what's hilarious
R.I.P.
is she was in the comics. She was disabled, so she had like a wheelchair, kind of like
I'm disabled,
like Xavier from X-Men, right? Well, in this movie, it's like the whole movie is just ridiculous. And at the very end, you're like, I wonder when she's going to become blind and disabled. I wonder how that happens.
How does that? Oh no!
And then, so she gets hit by a firework. In the water, so I don't even know if that's even possible.
Yeah, underwater fireworks. I don't know. Okay,
I don't even know if that's even possible. What was great was they made this scene so the girls that she's trying to save give her CPR because they had this whole little learning experience and whatever. Well, it goes to the future, and she's in a wheelchair. Don't know why.
You can only imagine it's from that terrible underwater firework.
Oh yeah, and then she's blind and she has these ridiculous glasses
from the smoke in the water.
But see, and this is my favorite part of the whole movie was the last line. She's like, she's in a wheelchair, so she's like me like this, and she's blind, of course, so she can't see anything. You know what she does? She goes towards the window because she can see that, and so she goes up to the window.
Maybe she sees light,
and she sits there and goes. And the girls are like, oh, so since you know the future, like, do you still believe that we're going to be great? And she goes, now that I know everything, or something like that. He goes, I've known all along how great you are. And the whole movie, she doesn't understand her powers. So she's like, how does she know all along? And it made no sense to me. And
Yeah, it sounds like 2007 really had nothing to do with it either.
oh no,
Yeah, it could have taken place now and then just gone into the future.
Oh, you would have loved it, man. They made so
Yeah,
many.
probably
But
not.
the reason I'm bringing it up for the onesies is y'all need to watch it.
Right.
Is wonderful and how bad it is. And yeah, it's
Madam Web. I thought she was going to be shooting spider webs out of her.
no like and.
It's not Spider-Man related at all?
Well, there's no Spider-Man in it. There's Spider-Women because there's different
Yeah, there are.
Spider-Women, but they don't explain how they got their power. They don't do anything.
What did the Spider-Women do, Dick?
Well, see, that's what the premise of the movie is. Her mom was bitten by a spider that was some special
How original.
Peruvian spider or something, whatever, had powers.
Wow, that's never
And
happened
she
before
gave birth
ever.
to the baby, and the baby turned out to be her. And
Get a new storyline. Come on.
well, but then, like, what happens is the villain is having visions of the future because he found the spider and got bit by it too, and so he has some of the powers. And he sees these spider women, who are basically variations of Spider-Man, killing him. And so he tries to find these people before, they kill them. And it's like 10 years before, so they're like teenagers now.
Do you think that this movie is responsible for kind of the death of the Marvel series? Because I've heard it's kind of tanked here in the last few years in terms of its popularity and its desire to continue making movies. And this kind of came out and put a big thud on it.
I don't know. I think it's something where that world needs to reevaluate itself because, for example, the X-Men 97 cartoon came out on Disney.
Yeah, you talked about that last week.
And it was really good.
And that's
And
what
so
you're
it's
watching now.
So clearly, like, they can do stuff. But see, what this movie reminded me of, though, is they filmed it like 10 years ago.
Right.
And then
so it was almost in 2007.
Well, no, I feel like it's what it felt like.
10 years ago. So it would have been 2014. Okay, so 7 years earlier. Yeah, again, no point to that.
But I want to know, like, because I feel like it was filmed way before, because some of the actors, like Sydney Sweeney, what's her name? Because she's pretty popular now.
Sweeney. Yes.
I don't think when they filmed it, she was that popular.
Oh, right, because she got popular in the last few years from the show. I can't even. I don't remember what show she got popular. I've never seen it, but yeah, you're right. They probably filmed her before she was a known commodity. What is the name of the show that she got really popular and driving me insane?
But yeah,
Anyways, our onesies are probably screaming it right now. You moron! I don't know. Doesn't matter.
everyone should check it out. But I want to say it was filmed. It had to be
The show was with Zendaya in it too, right?
Who?
Zendaya.
No, she wasn't in it. She's in the other
That's
Spider-Man.
what. Oh no, I'm saying she's in that show with Sydney Sweeney that got her really popular, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh my God, terrible. So we talked earlier about wishing wells in the first half of the show, and this is kind of along the same lines to a degree. But Dick, have you ever been crapped on by a bird?
I want to say yes.
See, you want to say yes. To me, it seems like you would probably know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can.
I haven't been with somebody when a bird crapped in their mouth.
Oh my! Hold that thought, please.
I remember that. That was in Galveston.
Well, I am prepared here to tell everyone on air and admit I have been crapped on by a bird no less than 3 times. I remember specifically 3
Jesus.
times. Yeah. And I'm guessing there was a 4th time in there. And to me, that seems extraordinarily high. I don't know what the average number of times in a lifetime people get crapped on, but my assumption is I've probably got some time left here that it could happen again. A couple of times happened when I was in downtown working. Birds fly over and do their thing. One time at the beach, and then one time I was going to a Dallas Mavericks basketball game, and we were going to go get something to eat
Well, that's
before.
probably why.
Yeah, well,
You're a Maverick fan.
no, not necessarily, but I mean, yeah, they're fine. And we were walking to go get dinner.
Did they get booted yet?
No, they're in the Western Conference
Just
Finals,
make
man.
sure. All right, you're
They
getting
beat
dinner.
the Oklahoma City Thunder to advance. Yeah, I was getting dinner, and I was walking in an area in downtown Dallas where they had some short trees, and maybe 10 feet high, arched over a sidewalk, and this bird just decided to let it fly all over my shirt, pants, everything. I had one that hit the frame of my glasses as I'm walking downtown at work. It was terrible, man. But anyways, apparently there is the, I don't want to say rumor, but in many cultures, possibly originating from Russia, bird poop and getting pooped on is actually a symbol of luck. Have you heard that?
I mean, anyone can manipulate how we want it to be perceived. So,
Well, I think this was made up by people
Now,
who
I
got
think-
crapped on, and they said, and they were embarrassed by it, and just decided to say, that's good luck.
well, because like what I don't understand about that, like the logic of luck is really funny to me because the pooping things, the odds are very low. So it's just like I would consider that bad luck because you got pooped on.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
But
Trying to change their
but
fate.
then when people say like, "Oh, you see a penny and the head is up," that's good luck, right? That you heard that because it's like, "Oh, find a penny, you have luck all day" or whatever.
Sure, yeah, of course. But, I've never heard that it has to be tails or heads up.
Well, then the heads thing was like a specific one. So I was like, so what does it mean if it's tails? So you don't pick up the tails?
So I think, again, this is getting back to the wishing well thing. You find a quarter, you think it's good luck, and nothing happens. You say, oh, it must also then have to be heads up. We make this stuff up on the fly.
I like it, but the bird poop to me would be hilarious.
Yeah, this says, according to the superstition, good luck and financial fortune, still waiting on that, may come your way if a bird poops on you or your vehicle. I'm like, no, that don't count. Everybody's had their vehicle
Well, I was
going to
mention my car gets pooped on all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I don't know from where though, because where I
can tell you on a bird diagram if you want to pull up a picture. I can tell you exactly where it comes from.
Like you ever? I think there's like certain streets in Houston. And
It's not the beak end. I'll tell you that. It's the other end, Nick.
Well, no, I meant more of. There's certain streets in Houston and there's certain streets around the country where you park. You can see where there's bird crap everywhere. You're like, don't park there.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
It's coming. I want to get lucky today.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I park in
what
the
the trains
parking
do a little
garage,
bit.
so the chance I guess birds get down there, but there's not any piping above the parking garage. So
And where are they sitting?
where are they sitting? And then when I park at home, there's nothing
Maybe they're just
above
sitting
me.
on your car.
I mean, that could totally be it, but it's always on the tailgate. It's never like
Yeah, they're probably sitting on the
they're
tailgate.
probably
I bet.
sitting on
Yep.
the tailgate and just taking a large dump.
It says in Turkey, for example, being
Do,
pooped on
do
by.
birds wipe?
I don't think they do, man.
They
Those
don't-
wings,
they
I don't
don't.
think they reach back there.
Because I always wonder why dogs move their feet like once or twice. Because it must have been like in the early DNA of dogs, they actually buried their poop.
They kind of give it a.
But you're seeing the dogs that like,
Of course.
they take a crap, but then they just walk and go 1, 2,
Yeah, 1,
and then
2.
they're off. Like,
That's just a flick it.
yeah, they're like, what are they trying to flick it? Like,
I don't know.
Because I always wondered that. I go, is this like 200 years ago? Dogs used to bury their poop. Like, what's the reason behind covering?
Yeah,
the poop?
they've evolved now. Now they're on calendars doing it. In Turkey, for example, being pooped on by a bird means one thing: buy
dogs
a lottery
wipe, right?
ticket.
Dogs wipe, right? When they just skid mark.
They
it?
skid mark it across your nice rug or the lawn.
All right, I know you
Yeah.
want to move on. What do you want to talk about? That's not pooping.
Apparently now the Vatican, you know what the Vatican is, where the Pope lives, releases new guidance for alleged supernatural phenomenon.
Because we needed this.
We did. The world asked for this.
So now we got UFOs, and tomorrow we're gonna have ghosts are real. That's the next release by the CIA.
This is kind of interesting, and I guess I wasn't aware of this until this new change came upon. But the Vatican has tightened up its guidance on recognizing supernatural phenomenon such as apparitions of the Virgin Mary and seemingly blood-soaked crucifixes. The new guidelines replaced old rules that were drawn up in 1978 and says that bishops should no longer act independently over such things, but instead consult the Vatican. So now it's probably already tough enough being the Pope, but now the Pope has to make the decisions on whether or not that ghost underneath your bed is real or not.
Well, same thing with exorcism, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess, but before the bishops could say, oh, yes, this is indeed an apparition.
But now the Pope has.
But
to
now
say
the
it.
Pope has to say it. The bishops can no longer be like, yeah, that's some weird ass.
Yeah, I'm sure the Pope has the time to.
That's what I'm saying. This is kind of strange, and I'm not sure exactly why they did it. It says the changes made by the Vatican's office aim to bring the church up to date in responding to the swift speed and spread of claims of apparitions online. So that's what it is. There's so many of these. I guess they don't want to go through levels of people. They just go right to the top. Tell us, is this real or not? And he can say, oh, yes, this is real.
Yeah, but
This
he's
is-
not looking
This
at
is not
that.
real. Oh, he's on social. At the real Pope.
No, the real one Pope. That's what his handle is.
Yeah, at real Pope.
The real one.
The real one.
The real one Pope.
Have you heard him speak?
I mean, I guess.
When he speaks English, he sounds a lot like a vampire. It's
Oh,
pretty amazing. Yes,
Gus.
it's a real a ghost, a supernatural. He sounds like that.
No, what this reminds me of is typical government workaround where it's like, hey, we're still doing it. Just we can still say we do it, but we're going to make it nearly impossible for you to actually solve your problems. But we can still say we do it, though. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You never been in those situations where it's like, oh, you have to get like a birth certificate, and like back
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
day, it was like somewhat easier
For a driver's license these
But
days.
now it's like you have to do like 3 or 4 different things
Sure.
just to get it, and it's like, oh, well, you can still get it, but it's just a lot. Like we made it harder on purpose because we don't want to give it to you because having a piece of paper is really hard today.
It is.
We
It
can't,
is.
We can't legally give you a digital version because it's not the real thing.
I love this. This is funny. So, under the previous guidelines, the ones that were created in 1978, get this: a local bishop could rapidly declare a phenomenon's supernatural nature. The Vatican said only for the Holy Office to express a different decision later. So the
Yeah.
Pope could come in and be like, nope, psh, and so that
Yeah.
caused confusion. But now, no, it's
Well, they
just for
probably
me.
did this because they got tired of all the people submitting toasts that look like Jesus.
Yes,
And
right.
And it was like, hey, we need
And
to
they
stop
declare it as a miracle, and then later the Pope comes and says, no, that's whole wheat.
Oh, no. That's a sewer pipe draining, dripping. That's a sewer pipe. Jesus is S-H-I. Oh, no, we can never say that. We can never say that. He's coming from the bowel movements of men and women and children. We can never say that.
Well, I do think it's
Have you
interesting.
seen that
though.
one? Did you see that one?
That one, what? What are you talking about?
When like it was like a leaky pipe and it stained the wall into the Mary.
Well, now it's got to go all the way to the Pope, though. Your local bishop can't say
that's
whether or
what
not
I'm
that's
saying, but,
supernatural.
like people like really thought it.
No, I did not hear that story.
Here,
No, was this a recent story?
Oh, I want to say this is like 20 years ago or probably further.
Leaky, dookie, faucet, supernatural. I love this on the fly radio. Stand by. Play my standby music
Yeah, here
that
it
I
is.
need to come up with. Oh boy.
So,
Ooh. Oh my.
so the
whoa.
algae and everything created from the leaky.
Are you showing that?
No,
To the onesie?
I'm about to.
That. Hold on, I feel like I need to do a Hail Mary here. That's the real deal. I'm sure the Pope would look at that and say, "Yes, that is real."
I mean, I mean, it doesn't look anything like the Mary, but like
No, kinda like the
people-
silhouette though.
people would show up.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like it looks like it's a storm drain,
Yeah.
not a sewer pipe. It looks like
It
it's a
might
storm
be.
drain
Might be.
that slowly leaks, over time, and the algae has just grown on the side of this
Yeah.
brick building in the shape of the Virgin Mary.
Pope didn't have time to look at that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, he has to
I
now.
like it,
It's the
though.
rules.
I mean, that kind of stuff I always am amazed, especially like the toast one. The toast ones are my favorite.
Why is Jesus always showing up on toast or tortillas? I've noticed
I
that
mean,
as well.
No, it's like Jesus toast. I think you actually can buy a toaster.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, that puts the image of Jesus or Virgin Mary on your toast.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yep.
gonna buy one?
No, I'm good. All right, man. As teased.
My favorite current joke with the Jesus is people were putting pictures of what's this John Wick? What's his name? Who was the actor? Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. I was
So
like, what's his name? Was his name
people
John
put
Wick.
Keanu Reeves
Yes.
and like the picture, like they do a digital thing of Jesus, but
Yeah.
they put Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah, I've seen him in all kinds of things, but
they're-
Jesus seems to be
they're
the most
donating
popular.
them to thrift stores and stuff. So you can
Yeah.
get, I think it's pretty great.
Well, as teased, what actually goes on at the Olympic Village? I know we've heard this every time an Olympics comes up, just about every 4 years, that the Olympic Village is filled with people, athletes, getting it on. Have you heard this rumor that
mean, I
this
don't
is just
doubt it.
rampant sex all over the Olympic Village?
What's rampant to you?
Define rampant.
Well, because like when I hear it, I think of like at least 51% or higher.
So I heard an interview with an Olympic athlete. This was some time ago, and she said that the claims of sexual activity in the Olympic Village are greatly over exaggerated, and they use the example of condoms like disappearing, and they have to go get more as evidence. But what she said was that you have to understand there's people from all over the world where they may not have the availability of contraception or condoms to them, so they go in there and they hoard them. They grab them up and take them back home to their villages or their people, their towns, or it's frowned upon for them to get this, so they took all of them. And it's not like everybody was just getting it on. So it's sort of, I'm sure it happens, but
Yeah.
it's greatly
But
exaggerated.
again, 51%, that's when I would consider it a lot.
Yeah, well, that is a
Well,
majority.
there's more people doing it than not doing it.
Well, the story came out apparently in 2020 for the Tokyo Olympics and now again here in Paris that the Olympic Committee is implementing, quote, anti-sex beds in the Olympic Village to prevent the athletes from getting it on. And basically what these anti-sex
is an
beds...
anti-sex
An
bed?
anti-sex bed is a bed that is made of cardboard. And the theory here is they're so...
Yeah, that's not going to stop me, dog.
Well, yeah, the theory here is that two people on that bed would collapse it.
Farm to table.
But one person's perfectly fine. And of course, the Olympics have to come out and say, no, this is for sustainability. Obviously, after it's used, we can just recycle them or burn them or do whatever. But the rumors get started out there that these are anti-sex beds. I have to let the rumor mill people know you don't need a bed to get it on. I'm just going to let you know that. But this is pretty funny. What do you think of these anti-sex beds? Honestly, they just should have used your bed. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, dog? Hey. Oh. There ain't no sex going on in there. Am I right?
Well, I always wondered because, I went to the biggest Texas festival, which was here in Montgomery County. And it amazed me, like, just
The lack of debauchery? Yeah.
the spectacle
Boring.
of it. And it was here. So I'm thinking, you're thinking of Tokyo, Paris. It's like, we're going to have so many people here, but it's going to be for a couple months. So we can't just put up cots. We got to put up something. Mm-hmm. And because they're going to be here, like certain people are going to be here for a month or longer. So they have to figure out a place for them to stay and be comfortable.
The people who are working the event, it takes
working
weeks,
the event
weeks
or participating in the event.
Weeks for it to set up and then to clean up afterwards. Yeah, you're probably right. The entire thing is at least 3 weeks. Well, people got to have a place to stay.
But I like
and
the
place
cardboard.
to go tinkle
At least
and make pot.
They're thinking about all the climate change they're preventing or whatever, doing cardboard beds, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if you showed the picture or not. They look like regular, I guess, twin-size beds with a couple of cardboard boxes in the middle for support and two at the end. But I guess that's what they use here frequently. But rumors started in 2020 and again now spiraling out of control that this was to prevent the athletes from getting it on. But alas,
I mean, I had a bed like that in college. With
alas,
cinder
it's
blocks.
not true. Yeah, and a mattress. But that's so you can take on many people with the cinder blocks. That holds a lot of weight.
Well, also you can store stuff underneath.
Absolutely.
And in the holes of the cinder block. That was
Awesome.
cool. I was edgy.
Well, hey, I think I've got an option for you come next Valentine's Day or maybe even the next birthday for a lady of your choosing.
I was just thinking.
Oh, what's that?
These beds. So imagine if someone does get it on, and they just tear it up, like the box, like it breaks, and just all this craziness.
And a cat runs out because it was an old Amazon box.
no, but think about some of those athletes aren't thinking, "Oh, this is a cardboard bed."
Yeah, they probably.
So
they may or may not.
They
but yeah.
break it, right? And you're like, "I broke the bed. What do I do? Who do I tell? They can't know."
That needs to be the next Olympic sport.
Well, I mean, that'd be really funny to me. It's like they come into the room, it's just a mess.
So to
There's
speak.
boxes everywhere. And like, what did you do in here? I tripped.
Tore it up, man. Tore it up.
Oh, that's great.
Your next gift for Valentine's Day and or birthday should be breast milk jewelry. Yeah, so a North Texas mom makes keepsakes for other moms using breast milk. I'm not entirely sure
suck
why
on
this... Yes, that's to get the flavor. So at first when I read this, I thought this was a woman using her own, but apparently as it is now, you can send in a sample of your own and she will make jewelry using your breast milk.
You know what really freaks me out? I was reading.
Breast milk
this.
jewelry freaks
No,
me out.
It had something to do with breast milk. They were
just don't get
talking
it.
about the
get
study
it.
of THC in this body, because you know how that was always the ongoing thing. If you're doing drugs, like THC takes a long time. If you're like a habitual user, it takes a long time to get your system. Like it's in your hair. So if you I don't really know the true sciences. I mean, if you smoke one time, it's and you still haven't cut your hair, they're gonna find some pot in you. But they were talking about they couldn't, like, it was kind of scary because they didn't say this out loud, but you read it. It basically said they couldn't determine how long THC is in the breast milk.
Oh, so the baby could be getting high.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's getting high, but they were even talking about like if you were a habitual user 20 years ago.
Oh, nah.
And they couldn't determine because they would still show up on some of the things.
Wow.
So I was like, because they're not saying weed's bad or anything like that. But when I read that, I was like, so you're trying to say that we're experimenting on our kids?
Unknowingly. I
because
suppose.
because they couldn't give you a definite answer. Like they're like, oh, we don't really know how long it stays in
I wouldn't worry about it.
because they couldn't like go back. They probably need
We
to call,
turned out to find him.
No,
Am
they
I
probably
right?
need to call this lady and be like, hey, who's the oldest client you have? Because we want to test their breast milk and have they smoked weed. Because that's why they didn't have stats of like
Well, if
50
they-
years ago
yeah.
of women smoking pot.
Can't imagine they're too old. But this is a lady in North Texas.
Because every woman apparently smokes pot when they're testing them.
Yeah, you're right. Her name is Samantha Cupp, and she works on dozens of orders from customers around the world. She makes breast milk jewelry, and her company is called the Milky Rose Boutique. Oh. Over the past 3 years, she's had over 2,500 orders covering every state in the United States, as well as overseas in the United Kingdom, Canada, and
See,
Australia.
this is the kind of
I
stuff
don't understand
I
the
would
appeal
buy.
here.
I would buy this if I had a significant other that,
That's what I was saying.
and I would buy it, and I would do it like not as like a birthday gift, not as like anything. Just be like be a big romantic evening, and like, oh, I got you something, honey. And then
From the Milky Rose Boutique.
no, and they see like the box of jewelry, and they're like, oh my god, he got me like a diamond. Oh my god. And then she opens it up, and she's like, what the hell is this? And I was like, during the night, I stole some breast milk.
But I've made it into jewelry for you,
I
baby.
made it into
She says,
jewelry.
I ask for an ounce of milk, but if they have less, I can work with as little as 5 milliliters, sorry.
I think that'd be
She
so
said after
funny.
she had her daughter, she said, I wanted a breast milk ring and decided to try to make my own, and I fell in love with the process.
Like what
There
I
you
would
go.
do is I would contact this lady and I'd send her like one of my favorite rap videos. I'd be like, see this guy's chain?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make that? How much milk do you need?
That's not milk, Dick. Yeah, this wouldn't work for the guys. It suddenly takes an entirely different turn if you...
No, I'm talking about when I'm buying it for my significant
I
other.
understand. I understand.
She says she needs an ounce. You know, I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I want to make it bigger. So how many? Like, I can give you more than an ounce. Like, this stuff just keeps coming out.
Well, in case you're wondering how she does this, apparently she dehydrates it and preserves it, makes a powder and puts it into some mold for the ring. I mean, it's not like
stupid.
it's a big breast there that you can utilize in other ways. No,
It's
that's what I said.
jewelry.
Yeah, it's jewelry. I don't get it. But again, I don't think the guys can
Well,
do
it's like
this.
that. You know that everyone made fun of Angelina.
Well, I suppose
Jo-
they could, but
Everyone made fun of Angelina Jolie for wearing like the blood of
right,
Billy Bob Thornton.
right.
on
She
her
was
neck.
she was very progressive in that. In
And
that
I'm
way.
like, who cares?
Yeah.
Let's go for it. And
Now, that's
now
nothing.
the what would weird me out is if you were wearing fingernails or something like that. Because you know
Mm.
that's kind of like an old wives' tale. It's like if your enemies get a hold of your fingernails, they can control your fate.
I haven't heard that, but that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
Not sure how
well,
they
it's
get a hold
probably
of my
something from Europe
fingernails,
or
though.
something.
I mean, if you've got my fingernails, you probably are
Well,
controlling
that's
my
why.
fate.
Well, because it's like
Or you mean like clippings?
clippings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of those things. It's like an old wives' tale, but you know.
Dang, she says each ounce she can do 15 pieces. Imagine what you could do with what she could do with your sample.
So
Could feed a village.
I really like this idea because it puts the significant other in a weird position because they're gonna be like, "You gave me a gift. Why aren't you wearing your milk earrings?"
She said her most popular types of jewelry are necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and more. She can add shimmer.
And more.
Yeah, she can add shimmer, opal flakes, baby hair, and here's the big one. You ready? Placenta, or other custom requests from customers. Now we're getting weird. And I thought I was weird earlier talking about dudes doing it. Placenta? Come on, man.
I
You
like
heard
it.
about these people?
Eat it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
They're like, oh, it's good for you. It's full of protein. I'm like, yeah, well, there's lots of things that got
in the
protein.
circle of life. That's.
Yeah. That's nasty, man. I just
I
don't
dig
get
it, man. People eat each other. Who cares?
Oh, there's a picture of it. I didn't notice that. If you scroll down far enough, it looks like a normal piece of jewelry. It's a video, but it's a still shot. Anyway, so you putting your order in?
I totally
breast
would
milk
if I was
jewelry.
married.
Don't think you have to be. Okay, for the quick hit here at the end of the show.
I don't know if I'm a present buyer while
Mm-hmm.
dating. I don't know if I'm a present buyer. Like for practical things, for sure. But jewelry, no.
No. You
'Cause
want it
you're
as-
not married.
As impractical as...
Meaning like, it's like, oh, I'm just wasting money. I could potentially waste this money buying this bracelet.
I could have gone to Game Changers instead.
Well, yeah. I could have bought Game Changers instead.
Well, depending, yeah. Do you remember the character? This is the quick hit here at the end of the story. The character from Austin Powers' Random Task. And I have
Yeah.
a picture here you can show him. He is a takeoff from the, what did you say? from the James Bond character? Odd Job. Yeah, and he would throw like
his hat.
Yeah,
Had a blade in it.
This guy throws like an ashtray or something. I forget in the Austin Powers movie. Well, I didn't realize
He throws his shoe.
Is that what he's? Oh, that's right. Oh, there's the picture of him throwing a shoe. It's much more fun to think he's throwing an ashtray, though. But I didn't realize this guy was a bad dude.
Like in a good way?
No, not in a good way. In 2011, he was sentenced to 7 years to life in prison for a torture committed during a 1990 gang rape. That's never good. But then, while in there, he beat his cellmate to death.
Yeah,
and this guy is now serving life in prison.
Well,
man.
there's probably crazier stories than that. Because I
guess it's just because he was, in a movie, and I hadn't thought about this guy forever,
did he get the movie part because he was in a gang?
Oh yeah, maybe, right?
Or because he looked like Odd Job?
I mean, the movie was in 1997, and he didn't get arrested or sentenced until 2011.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, I think he had participated, but he was
fell
at
into
the time.
the hard life.
Yeah, fell into the hard life.
Got into the weed.
Got into the breast making.
Got into the breast milk.
Breast milk jewelry biz.
He hung up by the Mother Mary drainage pipe.
But he comes by it honestly, man. I thought he was a son. His son was a mixed martial artist fighter and retired with a wonderful record of 0 wins and 4 losses. I'm not sure why that's a note in his bio.
No, I think it was him.
Oh, son, Joe Son. His name is Joe Son. I thought they were saying his son. Well, they just said son was a mixed martial arts fighter. My bad.
Andrew?
Son. Joe Son is his name. A South Korean-born American murderer and former mixed martial artist, kickboxer, and professional wrestler. There you go. Joe Son. May he spend the rest of his life in prison. That's all we got time for this week, buddy. This was a fun, jam-packed, musical-filled show.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe I'll do some more of those songs. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Give me a second. I got to ponder on that one.
Pondering, huh?
Well, you know how it is, dude.
We're out of here, onesies. Until next week.
We'll see you next week at 10 a.m. Lone Star Community Radio.
Every Wednesday.
Audience of one.
The story's been told. Another episode comes to an end. Audience of one. My faithful friend. The music fades, the lights turn low. Left hanging on, don't wanna let go. A cliffhanger ending, the suspense is strong. Tune in next week, the wait feels so long. This is the end of the episode. The conclusion hits you deep in your soul. Audience of one, you'll have to wait till next week to find out your fate.